Not with the neighbors again. Too many people. The faucet was jamming into my back.
Okay, now
Not
you're
doing
getting
that.
into too many details. This is TMI.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
national bath.
You're not a bath person, right?
No.
You're not a bath
And
person.
if you come
You're
to
just
my
a shower.
house and you take a bath, get out. You got too much time on your hands. Take a shower for 3 minutes. I'm like Saban. This is not a resort. Get out of here. There's no bath. I love Saban in that commercial. Dude.
He's very good in that.
He really is.
Yeah, 255. I
Yeah.
know. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Dodgers are 1 win away. Wilbon's Cubs are on the verge of elimination, and Jeff Saturday joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with last night's NFL game in which Jacksonville's each team.
Tony, the result is these are the kind of plays that went 100% in Kansas City's favor last year. We know this because they were 11-0 in one-score games. The Chiefs
That's
won
right.
every game like this last year, which made them resented as a team to some people, not to me. But Tony, these games are so close across the league. There's just so little margin for error. The Jaguars are better. You know, we talked about this yesterday. I've been waiting for Trevor Lawrence to sort of creep ahead incrementally and get to the point where he looked like he did in college. We're not there yet, but maybe. And the Kansas City Chiefs are now finding out how everybody else lived over the past few years while they had all these plays work in their favor. I don't think it says anything grand. The Chiefs have plenty of time left to win more of these games than they lose. And the Jaguars have not sort of flexed to the point that they're in the clear. The Jaguars are not 14-3 yet. But I thought it was kind of cool the way they won that game and the way particularly Trevor Lawrence hung in there.
Thank you for mentioning that you've waited for him since college.
I have.
Because I will tell you my first reaction having seen that play. And it was, thank God he's no longer at Clemson, because if your hand touches the ball and your knee goes down in college, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the end of the play.
Yeah.
You can't make that play in college. I think it was a big-time win for Jacksonville, maybe a big-time win for Trevor Lawrence as well. Jacksonville's now 4-1. Among the teams they've beaten are Kansas City, which has recently won a bunch of Super Bowls, and San Francisco, which has recently gotten to a Super Bowl, I believe. You know, they find themselves on top of the AFC standings. You know, they're tied with Buffalo and they're tied with Indianapolis. This is Jacksonville we're talking about. I mean, are they a playoff team? No, not necessarily. But right now, Mike, I'll tell you who's not a playoff team. Baltimore's not. I'll tell you Cincinnati's not. Miami's not. And these are teams that are often in the playoffs. So maybe this was the breakthrough game with Trevor Lawrence. At the end of the game, he threw a lot of very good passes. Maybe this coach is the coach who unlocks the door for Trevor Lawrence. Maybe, but it's too early.
One thing we got to touch on. How did you feel about Chris Jones? Just sort of the best. That was a bad. It was a weird look for a player that great.
I would say that he looked at the play in the same way I did, from a distance. That was sort of what happened. But you're right about Kansas City. They should have won. They're up 14-0. They won 23 in a row up 14. Now yes, you do.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move to baseball. And the Dodgers going up 2-0 on the Phils in that best-of-5 NLDS. The Dodgers pulled ahead with a 4-run seventh. The Phillies could have tied it in the ninth if not for two terrific infield outs by the Dodgers. First, that wheel play on a sac bunt, which got an out at third base. And second, a Freddie Freeman dig out at first. Tony, is this series more about what the Dodgers are doing or what the Phils are not?
So I think it's the Dodgers. You know that I think that the Dodgers and the Phillies are in the highest echelon there is in baseball. I think it's more about what the Dodgers are doing than what the Phillies are not. The game was tied 0-0 into the seventh. Luzardo was pitching great. A couple of guys get on, and then all of a sudden it starts raining runs. And Will Smith gets a big hit, Shohei Ohtani gets a big hit, and it's 4-0. But the Phillies come back, Mike. They come back for reasons that are unclear to me. Dave Roberts puts in Blake Trinan to get 3 outs in the ninth. Yeah, my boy. 3 outs in the ninth of a 4-1 game. I've been to this movie with the Washington Nationals. Blake Trinan doesn't get anybody out. And suddenly, 2 runs are in. It's a 4-3 game, and Castellanos is on second base. So they lay down a bunt because he's the tying run. They lay down a bunt to get him to third, and then you have this wheel play. Muncy rushes in, turns around, throws the ball to Mookie Betts, who puts on the tag. And Mike, you and I have kept a lot of score in our life at baseball games. I never wrote down 5-6 tag. I never wrote that down in my life. Nobody writes that down. 5-6 tag. That doesn't ever happen. And then the Dodgers needed 3 pitchers in the 9th, and as you say, they had saved. Freddie Freeman makes a great stretch and scoops the ball up. It's a terrible throw by the second baseman. It's terrible. They get out of the game.
The Dodgers are narrowly, marginally better. That's it. That's the only conclusion drawn. These are 2 close games. This is not like the Yankees and the Cubs getting blowed out. This is not like that. These games come down to like a play or so.
Right.
I mean, Jimmy Rollins in the postgame explained it with such insight and precision on what Castellanos could have been doing to sort of get a bigger lead off a second and make it safely the third for a guy who's not particularly fast, but he also is not a particularly savvy base runner. And Jimmy Rollins was. But it was fascinating to watch all that stuff post-game. And Mookie was great, and the Dodgers are precise, and the Phillies aren't hitting out of the guys they need to get hits from. They might be able to do that once in Dodger land, though. They might be able to do that in Dodger Stadium.
The top of the order. Trey Turner is the National League batting champ.
Yeah.
Schwarber is the National League home run champ, and I believe that Harper's a 2-time MVP, and they're 2 for 21 at the moment, which, as we like to say, is San Diego land.
But that's
Let's stay with baseball. Stay with baseball. Deal with the agony of your Cubs. They took the lead in the top of the first on a 3-1 homer by Seiya Suzuki, but couldn't hold it for more than 2 outs. Then Milwaukee single, Milwaukee 3-run bomb by Andrew Vaughn. Your Cubs never scored again, and the Brewers got 2 more homers, including another 3-run shot by Jackson Chourio. Final score 7-3. Wilbon, the Cubs are going back to Wrigley down 2-0. Should Cubs fans still believe?
I mean, we have to believe. But the Brewers are a better team. The Brewers at one stretch went 38-16 in July and August, and that is the stretch they use to win the division and separate themselves and give themselves a bye, and also prove to themselves when they walk out there like, no, we got this. That's how the Brewers feel. That's how they should feel. They earned that. Can the Cubs win a game at Wrigley? I don't know. I mean, the Cubs got off to a bad start when Craig Counsell said, I'm going to pitch Matthew Boyd on short rest. You know I support almost everything Craig Counsell's done all summer to get the Cubs to this position. But starting Matthew Boyd, who's like 34 years old, on short rest, that got the Cubs off to a bad start. And I don't know if we can recover. It doesn't look like we can recover. But, Tony, the Brewers are the better team. They feel like it. They played those games at home.
Sure.
They didn't care that the Cubs got off to that start. And by the way, the 2 teams were 7-7 in that ballpark, or against each other. I'm sorry, 7-7, but 3-3 in that ballpark going into that game last night. So it's not like they held the big edge, but the edge they have is all they need.
So you're my friend and I root for your team, but I watch these games and Milwaukee is a better team.
Yeah.
The Cubs, let me give you some numbers that I know are painful. The Cubs have only 12 runs in 5 playoff games at the moment. They struck out 11 times last night. They've struck out 58 times in these 5 games. They only got 2 hits after that home run in the first inning. They only got 2 more hits. And meanwhile, Milwaukee has 16 runs in 2 games. So you'll excuse me, but it feels like a beatdown at this point.
It is.
I'm one of those people that, I revere the Phillies and the Dodgers. I think that's the heavyweight division. And that's because I've looked at Milwaukee in recent playoff years. I think the last 5 times they've been in the playoffs, Mike, they've only won 2 games. They've never advanced another round. And a lot of people say it's because they don't hit the long ball. They were 22nd in the major leagues this year in home runs. But if you get 3 in one night, you get 3 in a playoff game, that can change the trajectory, of what you're doing for the playoffs. So, I mean, I was impressed. I was impressed. And I was impressed by your boy, The Miz. The Miz in his last 8 appearances had a 6.06 ERA, and he was electric last night.
You and other Cub fans I know spent all summer taking shots at The Miz. And
I did.
Come on now, I told you this kid was
great.
Terrific. Everything
Did you hear me say he was electric last night? He was hitting 104. Let's take a break. Coming up, the Browns trade Joe Flacco to the Bengals. We're going to ask Jeff Saturday for his thoughts on that.
We'll also ask him what he saw as The Miz shut us down. 16 pitches of his 31, I think, reached 100.
Time to dig into the NFL trenches with our great friend, ESPN NFL analyst, Jeff Saturday. Jeff, the Browns today, this afternoon, just traded Joe Flacco to the Bengals. That is a division rival. What does that say to you?
It ain't good. It ain't good, fella. It's like, hey, we no longer, this guy's no longer going to help us. We don't believe he's really going to help you. Otherwise, we wouldn't trade him to you, you know? But as I looked at the trade, look, this is no slight to Joe Flacco because, you know, he's had an incredible career and what he's done. But you're sending him to a team that Burrow's already been hurt, that Browning gets pressured all the time. Yeah, I'm not sure what the frustration is, if it's like from the receiving core or whatever it is. They just want somebody else change for change. But you got to protect the quarterback, especially a 40-plus-year-old. And I know you got Chase, I know you got Higgins. You better learn to 7-man protect so that he can get the ball off and throw those two guys. Otherwise, this thing could get ugly in a hurry.
I'm so glad I'm so glad people are gushing over this trade, and Jeff is, as always, the voice of reason. Let's go to last night and Trevor Lawrence falling down on the ultimate play in that game. And Jeff, when you see the reaction of the offensive linemen and defensive linemen, most of whom are on the ground, but when you look at the replay of that over and over, you focus first on what?
Oh, the finish between the left guard and the tackle. So if you see Lawrence fall down and then get up a full rush, the tackle knocks him clearly down, which honestly opens up a lane, because you heard Trevor talking about in his postgame, he was thinking about standing up and just throwing the ball away. But all of a sudden, it's like the parting of the Red Sea. They couldn't. But it's special because that was a massive win for the Jags, and to finish it that way is such a feather in the cap.